How'd you become a Duke fan?
So I've never really paid attention to anything but NBA. My dad, outside of my cousin Jim playing for the Tar Heels in college, I never really heard anything about basketball because he played football. And so I was watching basketball when I got home from school one time. I was in elementary school. I'll never forget it. And I think it was multiple times. They were just on the screen. So I didn't even realize that when I told my dad, like, yo, that's the team I like, that he was like, what? Hold on, son. Hold on. But he never got in my way. Like, he just let him choose what he want to do. I'm interested in how Pop became a Duke fan.
I think it's interesting because, like, my brother-in-law, I was talking to him, and he was like he's from up north, he's from PG County, and to him, being a Duke fan is like, it's almost like voting for Trump. And I was like, and he went further than that. He felt like it was like some KKK, like we are some anti-black, and I was like, bro. And I'm gonna tell you my thing, and this is I haven't shared this with a lot of people, but growing up without my dad, I always looked for it. So a lot of my teams that I liked, they had very, very monumental players, monumental coaches. Like, I loved watching and seeing how Nick Saban interacted with players on the field. I loved how Coach K interacted with refs. The way that he seemed like he was subtly being like a mob boss. He's like, listen, foul count doesn't look good. And I don't know what he's really, but in my head, this is how it went. Hey man, the foul count doesn't look good. And we need to change that. And with that being said, you're going to either fix it, or we'll see about how many more games you get to win. And like that's where it was, and I was like, and I know that's not really what it is, but it was just a lot of people used to have this stigma behind him. Yo, when he goes and talks to the ref, we just get calls all of a sudden. And I was like, I don't think that's true, but I feel where people coming from, and that's what I was looking for. I was just looking for somebody that was a mentor. So when I was watching as a kid, like I was legit looking at that because all my uncles, they were all Carolina fans. And the one uncle I stayed with the most, he was kind of like no team. He was more like, yo, if there's a good player, then I'm with it. Like he used to like Forte. I think he played that one time. Yeah, I think what he played, Maryland?
No, he played
He played Carolina. There was another player he really liked at Maryland. But I wasn't Francis. I would have to ask him. But he used to always have some different team. Like, and I'm like, why do you like them? He's like, oh, they got this guy. And I'm like, I get it.
So he started the whole I follow players movement instead of the.
I would assume so. And if you ask him today, he's a Carolina fan. But if Carolina loses, he ain't a fan at all. And I'm like, dog.
Make up your mind.
Come on, man. So that's kind of how I got into it. I was like, man. So now when I go out and people troll me about it and they be like, yo, did you go to Duke? I'm like, did you play for the professional team that you like? Like, what kind of stupid thing is that to say? Yo, I didn't play for the Bulls. I'm a Bulls fan. But I just think it's funny because I think people projecting their insecurities and stuff. So it's just hilarious how they do that.
Oh, pitch it up. Pitch the ball up. Like, see, right now they could be crossing. Like, he's coming off that curl, but Big Boy's already there. What if y'all cross and do that? He can't see his backside.
Pause. But look, we are right now watching the Michigan State Auburn game. This is Coach Parks. He coaches one of the better teams in the entire state of North Carolina. I actually have coached with him, had the pleasure. He was very vocal on the sideline. And right now we're just watching Michigan State be lethargic. And it's almost like they don't have any sense of urgency. It's 2 minutes and 40 some seconds. And I was like, yo, let's just cut the cameras on and really get to it. And I think his name is I think his name might be Janae Boone. Janai, something, yeah. Uh-oh. Oh, that would have been it.
See, I never understand why teams wait late to get scrappy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. But teams always wait. Like, they always need to try to start the game like that. They always try to come out after halftime like that. We're one. They try to finish the game off like that. When, if that's your MO, just be that way the whole time.
Who is weak?
Chambers.
How long you been in Chambers?
Loaded question. Technically, since 03.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But, as a coach, which I know what you're getting at, I've been back. I've been coaching Chambers since 2018, 2019 year. That was my first year.
And you was at Mount Creek before that?
Yeah, 2 years before that. Just different. You see different. I learned from two different coaches. You know, I learned from John Hancock was the coach at Mount Creek when I was there, and you got to see, for lack of better terms, you got to see like white coaching. You know, like how if you look at them runners on, he may say 2 maybe 2-3, 3 maybe 3-2, 1 maybe 1-1. So, but he's telling you when they trap, they may have rules where I trap the corners automatically, but if it's not in the corner, you wait for my call. So Hancock would be like, no matter what it was, you gotta watch the second finger. So if he says 21, you trap on the first pass. 22, you trap on the second. 23, you trap on the third. So at Chambers, it's not like that. We have certain rules that we just live by on defense. Certain places where not to trap, certain places to trap. How to guide them into a trap zone that we want them to get where it should be automatic. But we don't live by those defensive principles. If that's something that happens, it might be talked about during the timeout.
Right. Yeah, being on the court with you guys and being in the stands, I much rather prefer to be on the court. I feel like where I'm strong at, IQ wise on a basketball court, I can just get it out. Whether the player goes out and does exactly what I tell him to or not, it's just frustrating when I'm just like in the stands. Like I had T.Y. He sent me a video from I think the Weddington game last year, and I was coaching on the sideline, and it was like in one of the highlight videos, I was like, T.Y., you're way too your attention to detail is nuts. And I'm literally one of the players. Jordan's playing defense on one of the kids, and I'm just sitting there in the background like, yo, come up, and I'm tripping in the stands. And it's just funny because it's like I do it naturally, and then even parents start to like gravitate towards me and start saying things to me, and I have to be careful what I'm saying up there because it's like sometimes I say things and I'm like, they might take it home and take that as law. Let me not give my 2 cents on something.
Well, at the end of the day, like parents gotta let go. You know, like your kid is gonna be coached. Like, if nothing else, and your kid makes it to the league, or your kid just goes to be a contributing member of society, somebody that's gonna be their boss. And you just gotta, what you gonna do? Show up at their job and be like, you can't tell my kid to do this. Okay, well, help me do this. If you want to run it so much, you give your kid this pencil for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Give them their walking papers. So, it is one reason why I love the fact that when I presented my daughter with an opportunity, you can go the basketball route and daddy train you, it'll be free, we got the gym and stuff. Well, you choose your own. You can cheer, but you can do something else other than cheering too. You know? And she was like, well, you taught me how to swim. I've been looking on YouTube and swimming and stuff, and I actually love swimming, like, on the pool all the time. I'm like, okay. And like, when I watch her, like, it's literally like watching her in her passion. I feel like she personifies everything that I am. Like, people talk about me, they talk about hard work and high energy, high effort.
Yeah.
And for me, it's hard to know what that looks like in the pool because it wasn't my sport, so I'm constantly asking questions. But when I hear anybody talk about her, they're like, like she's really like high energy, high effort. She's easy to coach. Like she asks questions, and like that's all stuff I was like as a student, players and stuff. Anytime I play for somebody, like that's just what and it didn't matter. Like even when I played soccer and intramurals in college, you know, I knew nothing, but I knew I could play hard, play defense. You just kind of got to tell me what to do, and I'm always going to be looking for that guidance to grow, even in that. Ended up almost in a header.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And side note, that is extremely hard to do. Shout out to soccer players that can do that, because that is extremely tough. Like football players who go and grab the ball at the height, you know what I'm saying? It might be work there, but at the end of the day, it's God given natural ability in some way. Soccer players gotta find like extra spin on the ball, turn their head the right way, aim it at the same time, and target it at the goal and score. It's tough.
Yeah. And I think with that high energy stuff, I think it's good that you're like that, because I know what the opposite looks like, and that's what I'm dealing with Calvin right now. Because I be so calm, cool, and collected all the time, and everything just kind of comes natural. Like even on basketball court, I don't gotta do a whole bunch of loading up to jump. I can just always jump. I was always fascinated by that. I have to look. I made it look like I wasn't trying when I was just naturally doing something. And Calvin's example of that makes him think that he needs to be very like. And I'm just like, bro, bro. I know I'll make it. It's almost like Tracy McGrady. Like Tracy McGrady, he might look sleepy, but he doing everything on that court but going to sleep.
Right.
And if you're not careful, he gonna put you to sleep.
Oh, here we go.
65-58, minute 37. What Auburn got?
It's over. See that right there? That's not Doggish defense. He just mishandled that.
Oh man.
See, if that was Doggish defense, there's no way he would have got that up in the lane. He wouldn't have got that. He bumbled and fumbled right into the lane and still got an up and under layup. I'm down on the floor for that. You see what I'm saying? How's the help side man not on? The ball is dislodged from him. How's the help side man not where he's supposed to be? You know what I'm saying? Because they probably been good all season and they don't practice that. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't practice like that. Like, you gotta practice that. My question to you is energy, effort, and hustle. Is that a skill?
I don't think it's a skill. I think it's a behavior. And I think it's something that anybody can give if they just try hard enough. Unfortunately, I think the skill in it, I think there's skill in it. And I think that's the mentality part. I think there's a skill to be smart, a skill to have high IQ. And it's kind of like someone who says, oh, I'm not bad at school, I just don't try. Well, there's a certain level of mentality that you lack. The reason why you even feel you need to have that type of mentality. Some people literally say, I'm going to go hard no matter what. So I'm looking at it like, he missed both.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's a skill, right? So some years ago, when we had some college coaches come in, they were recruiting a kid named Daniel Ransom. I'm pretty sure you know Ransom. Right? Mm-hmm. So Daniel Ransom, the first thing they said was, Coach, he has a lot of hustle. Like, that's a skill these days. And at first I was kind of like, nah, that's something that's in you. That's will and want to, right?
Right.
And the more I thought about it, the more I would find me and Frazier, like in practice, teaching how to give second and third effort. And hustle is what? Second and third effort, right? It's not really your first effort. The second and third effort. Your first effort is the defense. Oh, I played the defense, but anybody can say, oh, like, okay, I started to lock up right here. I plucked the ball. Okay, cool. The second effort is to go get it. Oh, he's trying to foot race to you. Now you got to kick in a third gear. Like, can I go get it first? And you find yourself, with skill development, you find yourself teaching kids situations and stuff, right? We find ourselves now teaching what hustle looks like. And it's crazy. Like, I think it's wild. But I'll give you this example, right? I was watching the other day, two of my players, like when they're in the off season, I don't really mess with them. I try to give them their time to create. So when they're playing one-on-one, we had tennis practice, and sometimes we'll just go and leave after tennis practice or whatever. You also notice it in the season. They're playing one-on-one, and a lot of times these days of one-on-one, they just stop. They just stop. Like when we were growing up, oh no, you get your own board. That's your fault. You ain't go get the rebound. That rule is no longer in play. You play 3 dribbles, right? And at first I was like, when Jalen Curry for us, I I was okay with that because I told them I'm not chasing you around all the time. Take your 3 dribbles, you get to your spot, you get a pull up, or you get to the ring. You know, it's keep it the court.
Right.
But the more I notice, it is hurting us late. Like us, when I say us, I'm talking about like basketball coaches in general, because kids don't know how to sit in and mentally play defense for a long amount of time or say, all right, I'm tired of you dribbling the ball, I'm gonna go get it. Then when they shoot, I'm just gonna watch. I don't even box out because I know I'm getting the ball if you miss.
Right.
But once I stopped them and I said, yo, this ain't gonna get y'all nowhere. I said, old boys in play, dribble as many times as you want. The minute we put in there, dribble as many times as you want, and old boys in play, they still went to go get it fast, right? So they weren't spending mad dribbles, mad long taking to get the shots off and stuff. But when the ball would go off, they had to learn. I had to keep go get the rebound before it registered to them. Hey, look, I might not win on 3-pointers this game. I'm getting tired. We played the game in 3. They were both leaned over, breathing for air. To 3. And I'm like, this is what's wrong with today. This is why you can't get to that second, third level of energy and effort and hustle. You can't, like, a person can't look at you and go, yo, when is he gonna quit? Because all I know that you have to do. Now, and that's my point in this right here.
They should have been doing that.
They should have been doing this. You're smaller. Why are we saving our energy for one final push?
Yeah. What you said was perfect, and I think that's what I was getting at by saying I think the skills and the behavior. Because the behavior is the mentality part. Yes, I do think that you gotta want it to hustle. But on top of that, one thing that you said that was very key, you said a lot of people's not gonna play defense for that long. To me, the skill is the mentality and having that mental toughness to stay disciplined longer than the offense is willing to try to score.
No point in the tournament this year. All number 1 seeds should have just got to go.
Yeah, nah. They did this since 08. I think that was Derrick Rose now. But yeah, mentality-wise, bro, having that mental discipline, that's a skill. That's something you gotta learn. But I think like anybody can just say, hey, bro, like if I look at you and just say, hey, I want you to run to the end of that court as fast as you can. That's just, you gotta just want to do it. There's no, hey, I gotta be skilled to run. No, you just gotta put one foot in front of them. So I do agree, and that's why I said I don't think the overarching thing of it is a skill, but I do think that the behavior within the moment is a skill. I do think that exists. The stage has been set for Duke to win this year, and I think the right on the wall. What's gonna mess around to happen is his injury is gonna cause them to lose to Florida. Houston don't score enough. Duke's gonna go out and play well against them, I would assume, because we just have too many players. Because the thing is, and this is what Monty looked at me, and he before he kept watching us play, because he hadn't really seen us play. He watched us play and he said, "Yo, I ain't gonna lie, y'all the best team in college. There's nobody better than y'all. There's nobody that can even compete." And he was like, "The only way y'all lose is if you beat yourself." But here's the thing: they got 11 players that can play, legit 11 players where we can say anybody out of these 11 can start and we won't skip a beat. And that's what makes us a problem.
People still don't know about Harris off the bench. He played for
the light-skinned kid.
Played for Paul the Sixth. That beat Myers Park when they went up there. Bishop and what's his name? Bishop and Sir Muhammad senior year. Or was it a junior year? I can't remember which one it was, but he played against them. And that's when I found out, because I texted you about him. I said, have you heard the kid, Harris, he's supposed to be coming to Duke? He's pretty good. He giving Myers Park work. And he's pretty good. And people talking about Slim ain't seen time. He ain't seen time. And when I tell you, there was nothing he couldn't do on that court. There was nothing he couldn't do.
He's one of my least favorite Duke players. It's him and there's another guy that was top 50 in the nation. And I think he stinks.
I mean,
he's terrible at playing point guard. Let me take that back. Please don't kill me. I think that his position is the shooting guard, and any time the ball is in his hands to create for others, he turns into like Jordan Poole, and it bothers me because I hate players like that. I call them black holes. Jordan Poole, Caleb Love, R.J. Davis, high volume guards. To me, it has never worked out for at any level. Unless we're talking like name a guard that was like it was a high level guard that where he was able to win a championship solo.
None.
Because that you got to be if you want to be high volume and win, you have to be like mid level. You got to be mobile. You got to be tall enough to not be. I think you got to be a forward, but you can't be like too immobile. You got to be mobile, which is why a player like Cooper Flag, a player like LeBron James, not putting them in the same category at all, but
That's
just.
Cool. You do when the system goes down. Luka might have been the system. Luka might have been the system for the Mavericks, and it wasn't working. But he got with LeBron. Listen, would James Harden have listened to LeBron?
I think he would have.
You really think he would have? You think he would have listened now, or do you think he would have listened when he's the system? My question is, would he have listened when he was the system?
I think he would have. I think he would have at that level. It's the same thing a lot of people question. The same people had about Russell Westbrook and would he listen to certain people? And I think he did. He only would listen to somebody he deemed better than him, undeniably. I think when it comes to a lot of these egos that these guys have because they're the best players in the world, I think there's a certain level of, hey, that's LeBron James. The same way that a lot of guys would have been like, hey, that's Michael Jordan, hey, that's Kobe Bryant. I think those three players in particular command a certain level of respect just for the simple fact of who they was. Now, I could stand corrected because I did watch Mario Chalmers get into a heated conversation on the bench. I don't know what it was about. But I did watch him as a role player that was never a system. I did watch him buck back, but I don't know the context of the conversation. It did look like he was just trying to give his opinion, and LeBron looked like he just kind of got upset at the fact that you were willing to talk at all. Because I've heard Bron on some sound bites before say things to coaches that I'm just like, yeah? Wait a minute. Oh, you know that this is your team. You don't even respect them enough. Yo, I gotta give you the clipboard. Wait, what? So what's the point of the coach if you're gonna do that? For him to coach everybody but you?
Might have been a level of trust built over time.
It could be. And that's why I'm saying I can only speak on what I'm seeing. And but with LeBron, there has been a couple moments. And then I think it's a perfect time, LeBron versus Stephen A. Smith.
Because if you go back to when my first 3 years of coaching JV, and we won we split those titles with North and Hopewell and North and Huff, and then just North my third year. You would actually, there are moments where you could go back, and I think you might remember some, where we were on our runs, and you might look down and see a kid on the bench with my clipboard, and they're drawing up a play for somebody who just came out the game or is trying to get in and wants to know like how to move and stuff. And to me, that was culture for us because there were hours where we're waiting on practice to start. All right, your turn. Go draw this play. Now your turn. I'm gonna flip this play into this one, and then you need to tell me how. In the way this play ends, I want us to get in white right away. How does that look? And your expectation, if you don't do it, the team pays. So they did a lot of those first my last 2 years, they didn't really take care of each other like that. Mm-hmm. So I say that if you look at LeBron said something a long time ago. I can't find the clip to this day, and I wish I could. But he said something that when I heard it, I respected him for it forever because he said, somebody was like, LeBron, it was a question posed to him. He said, LeBron, with all these people trying to give you advice, how do you handle it? There's a lot of people trying to give you advice about everything from the court to your personal life and how you should handle that. And he said, well, I look at it like a grocery store. I take what I need for the recipe, I don't disregard anybody. And as he got older, he might have. Mm-hmm. But in his moments of needing mentors and when he was younger and knowing that he don't have it all, he humbled himself and said, I leave it. I know it's always there on the shelf if I need to go make the recipe that requires it.
Right.
So then I go back and get it. And I said, that's really humble and smart. That's wisdom. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we lack the discipline. We lack disciplined lives, and we lack the discipline to just listen to wisdom. And I don't think James Harden takes the wisdom.
Do you believe LeBron when he said that?
I do. Because he, at that point, I look at everybody in his life, and it was when he was younger. I want to say he was still in his 20s when I heard this, like mid-20s maybe. So at this point, he's like 7, 8 years in the league. Mm-hmm. And he's still in what I like to call leech mode. Like Marcus and Tars to me are in leech mode. Like everybody's trying to latch on in somewhere and prove their value to this person in hopes that this person never lets you go out of their corner. So when he says that, I do believe it, because you gotta weed. You in the epicenter of everything, and you gotta weed out who's there for you and who's not. And you gotta show people that they're valuable with not making them part of your camp and still not being dismissive of them. You know what I'm saying? Because I think as much as he values Jordan, he doesn't value the dismissive side that everybody looks at Jordan, where Jordan dismisses people. He wants to be loved at the same time. And what better way to say, hey, yo, I gave LeBron some advice. Now, I don't know if you're going to use it, but da-da-da-da-da. It's always going to be a positive story out there about that. And one thing we know about LeBron is he loves positivity when his name is brought up. He loves positivity when his name is brought up. He don't want no negative positivity when the James name is brought up.
I think all of us are like that though. And my problem is, and this is why I asked that question, I think that he has great media training, and I think he's going to say the right thing, but sometimes I question his motives, and I question some of the things, because somebody brought a good point up. And this is why I mentioned Stephen A. Smith, because you're familiar with their little back and forth right now.
Not really.
So basically, LeBron James came up on him and like pulled up on him like he was going to do something to him.
I saw that
at the game. Aggressive.
I saw that part.
And told him to keep his mouth shut when it comes to his son. And he made a spectacle, knowing who he is, knowing his platform, knowing the positivity guy you just talked about had a moment where he wasn't so positive. And Stephen A. went on his show and obliterated him and was like, bro, how dare you? I've never mentioned your son in a negative light. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell the truth now. You instructed all of media not to mention your son, and we did that. How dare you come to me and act like this wasn't what it was? So LeBron does another move, petty move, a spiteful move. He goes and sits down with Pat McAfee, a direct competitor to Stephen A. And I heard again, hey, just so you know, that messes with Stephen A's ratings. LeBron's not stupid. He knows why he sat with who he sat with. So there's a little, and they compared it to Drake. They was like, it's the same thing Drake does. If Drake don't like you, he's not going to say nothing about it. He going to smile, shake hands, kiss babies. But behind closed doors, he going to get at you. And he going to get at you in a way that he knows going to hurt you. And that's why I look at LeBron like, so is he as positive? Because there are moments that he say stuff and I'll be like, I know you lying. I don't think LeBron's ever read a book. Yet he's always been talking about reading books. And I know that he always
asked me about at one point in his life, and I still believe that.
Yeah, and that's why and that's why I'm saying he may have been, but I do think he does have media training though.
The great ones are definitely gonna have it. But I think what we've expected from LeBron so long, we're finally seeing like you're human. You're human. Because if this was anybody else, if Stephen A. talked about Dwayne Wade that way, oh, this is a business. You let Dwayne Wade handle his own. But see, this ain't no business no more when it involves your family. It becomes personal to you, whether it's still a business to the media. You see, and now the lines are blurred. Now we found a chink in the armor, which we kind of already knew. If anything was going to be a chink in LeBron's armor, it would be family.
I mean, a dude like me, I know you.
So, but
I know behind closed doors, LeBron James is dropping cuss words, saying the N word,
Oh,
drinking and acting a fool the same way as the rest of us. Because every time some story comes out about some guy that we thought was this, and then behind closed doors a video comes out and it resurfaces or surfaces, and you see the real them. Like, so what's the big deal? I knew he had some flaws, and that's why anybody that people, any famous celebrity that people try to tell me don't have flaws, I immediately don't like them, because then I go, so why are they so perfect in the? What are you hiding? Because it's something.
Yeah,
it's something.
Yeah, it's like we knew LeBron wasn't perfect. Everybody was waiting on to see what the flaw is, and he showed you he does have a level of impulsiveness. He does have a level of sensitivity and reactivity when his kids are brought up, and now it's like people are trying to decide: do we run to LeBron's defense? Stephen A. is in the wrong, but how is he in the wrong if he's just talking about the number 55 pick? For me, I get what LeBron is doing because that's his son, but I also get that it's a sucker move because at the end of the day, we know you got your son that job. So now he has to deliver. He has to, at some point, he has to get it on his own. And I'm okay for waiting. You know what I'm saying? I believe they all got to grow. LeBron James couldn't shoot when he first came in the league. He could will himself to making shots, but he couldn't shoot for real. He couldn't shoot for real. He could will himself to making shots. But over time, we trust LeBron to make the game-winning shot. Think about it. Even LeBron said when he went down to Miami, he went to learn to be a better leader. He deferred to Dwayne Wade a lot in that first season. And when it came down to clutch time plays, he deferred to Dwayne a lot. Why? Because it hadn't worked for him in the past. And he needed somebody he trusted for it to work out, to see how to execute down the stretch and to understand it don't come down to one play. This is over time. So this is a string of plays. This is a stretch between the fourth minute left in the game and no minutes left in the game. How we execute down the stretch. Not just in the last minute, not just the game-winning shot. This is a body of work over time. So now when LeBron closes games, they tell you when he saw on the stretch. Think about when he just got beat. They tried to do this. Oh, it's LeBron's fault from this play on. It wasn't. It was a stretch of plays. It wasn't one play. The one play immortalizes people. The big shot, boom, turn around, bam.
All right.
That immortalizes people. But what a lot of people don't understand is there's a body of work that goes on to even get in that position. And that's the artwork that we love about the game. That's what we love, like, to see those moments. Like, yeah, like, I saw that game-winning shot, but did you see how they even got to that point? He was involved on every play. Like, he's the GOAT for a reason. He hit that down pass right there. He got the steal to get to the down pass. Like, it just... But anyway, back to the LeBron thing. I think right now we just have to give him grace, and that you're finding out that he's a real person. Which some of us who know that, we're like, all right, whatever.
That's all I'll be doing.
The others who always had him up here,
yeah.
Are like, why are you getting in Steve LeBron? Like, I get it. Oh, it's Stephen A.'s fault. He should be, at the end of the day, LeBron 6'8", Stephen A. has got to be near 60 and probably, 5'11", 6 feet tall?
He might be 6'3".
He might be 6'3"?
Yeah, I think so.
Either way, he's shorter than LeBron.
He's 60. Either way, so let's say I get where you're going, because my thing is this. What if Stephen A. says, F you? I'll talk about what I want. What you gonna do?
I asked somebody that.
What could he do?
I asked somebody that.
What, he gonna punch him? What he gonna do? Throw a temper tantrum? Like, bro, if you pulling up on somebody and telling them what not to do, that sounds like you gonna have a response if they tell you what they gonna do still. And my thing is, I don't think LeBron had that stance, because I watched you too many times with people your size. You ain't have so much energy. I watched that young boy from Detroit. If he would have got his hands on LeBron, that would have been bad. And maybe LeBron is like, because they talked about how Kobe had some kind of, he was a black belt. And I was like, look, bro, where was that black belt with Doug Christian put the balls on? Because all that black belt stuff sound good until I watch you in but he got beat up a few times on the court. And all that black belt stuff did was get him punched in the face because he was waiting on defense. So last thing, just like I watched a couple interviews with Mad Max, and guess what Mad Max said? Hey man, I was gonna whoop Michael Jordan regardless of how it went. I ain't on here defending Michael Jordan saying he got hands. What I'm saying is he was very good at shooting the basketball. And I ain't never seen Michael Jordan just walk up on somebody like, hey, bro, you better keep my name out your mouth. He wasn't Will Smith smacking people. But LeBron was doing that, and Stephen A's response was, I wasn't even talking about your son. I was talking about you the whole time. So you making it about your son. Are you trying to polarize somebody to make it something else that it ain't? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I've never said anything negative about your son. I may have commented about you and your son as a caveat because he's in the limelight now. It's very hard. If I'm talking about you and I'm talking about anything, obviously, if I'm talking about you, the NBA, if I'm talking about the Lakers draft picks, your son is a part of that. But I'm not necessarily talking down on your son. So where did that come from? And that was Stephen A's point. So my thing is, as a dad, if I felt like you was doing it, I get why LeBron pulled up on him. But now that you've explained yourself publicly, a person like me is, I'm willing, like I think a better move would have been to actually go sit down with Steven and have a conversation. And like, because why not us monetize it and us get paid for our conversation as opposed to getting someone else paid because they're going to talk about it anyway. Steven didn't have to say nothing, LeBron didn't have to say nothing. They were going to speculate about what that was and make money off of it regardless. And they were going to run that for weeks until we talk something else to talk about. So why not us do it? And my thing is, the reason why I have what I have about LeBron is because, like I told somebody else, when we were talking about the beef and how LeBron played the beef with Drake and Kendrick. And I'm sitting there like, hey, LeBron a sucker. What he did was a sucker. I don't care how you slice and dice. I don't care about him being a part of no Lakers. If you ain't got anything going against you, and it don't matter if you was at Mallard Creek and I was at Chambers, or you was at Chambers, I'm at Mallard Creek, and something happened where you got into a beef with another coach, and however it go down, something happened to where you was painted in a negative light, and then I'm over here at Creek. I don't care what my affiliation is. Hey, I can't support that because of what it goes against. Because that's just a me thing. I don't care. Now, maybe they ain't friends, but they played like they were. They did an interview where LeBron said, hey, what I told you when that one situation happened. Like, what I told you. I called you personally. And we was on the phone. I was mentoring you through that tough situation. When stuff like that started happening, and that picture got painted, I said, yeah, that's some sucker stuff from LeBron. And then when I seen this with Stephen A, I was like, man. And then for me, like I said, I don't never, anybody they try to paint out as holier than thou, I go, what's the flaw? Because I guarantee the people that always get painted like that, there's always a bad one. Yeah. I'm still, and I don't be praying to see it, but when it come out, I don't be surprised. Like, I've heard DJ Khaled behind closed doors is not the person that he pretends to be. Like, he's actually like one of the worst people in the industry. I've heard that before. There's only one person on the planet that I have yet to hear anything about that is in my immediate purview, and that's Russell Wilson. I have not heard the flaw. He has always been a Christian model citizen. His wife loves him. I ain't heard a cheating scandal. He taking care of his kids. It ain't nothing that came out about this guy. And I don't even think this is like a flaw. I've watched players on the sideline look at him with a side eye when he has a bad game. And it's almost like they can't stand him. And I'm thinking it's just because he might go out there and throw 5 picks and then be on the sideline like, yo, Jesus loves you. I apologize. I'm going to pray about this. And they probably get upset about that.
He might be past his moments, though.
Could be.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I hate to bring up, like, a man's life like this, but we was just in church today, and it was brought up. But it's nothing that you already don't know. Like, divorce is talked about in the Bible. You know, because Russell Wilson was married.
Okay.
He was married before. I'm almost certain he was married. Yeah, he was. And they divorced. And now I don't know the reason behind the divorce.
Okay.
I don't.
I didn't even know he was married.
Yeah, it was when he was younger. I think I want to say it was when he was coming out of college, or I can't even remember. I'm gonna look it up in a second. But a lot of people forget about her. It was a white girl. She
Dr. Umar would not approve.
Man, forget Dr. Umar, man. Let these people love who they love. It is what it is. Like, it is what it is. I'll talk about him in a second.
Yeah.
Because I used to listen to him. I think you actually put me on.
Dr. Umar?
Yeah. And then, like, some stuff, he just got too wild. I was like, bro, like, no. But the Bible looks down on it. And it says, like, at all costs, you should try to work it out, right? And then it gives you those times where it's okay to divorce. Not that it's okay, but for the greater good of what your journey probably is with Christ, it's okay.
I'm going to take the last sip of this drink. This was Goblet of Fire. Shout out to Harry Potter. That was actually a good drink. I thought it was an old fashioned, but it was a little different. That was dope. But so you said the Bible looks down on it, and at all costs, other than these few things, which could have happened.
Which could have
happened.
You know, and the only thing we think about when athletes divorce is somebody cheated.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's our first go-to. It's what happens the most.
Is that one of the things that you could do?
Physical abandonment, marital unfaithfulness, spouse is not a Christian.
Physical abandonment, like not having sex?
So that could be one thing, actually. But drug abuse, physical abuse, and one of the verses is say, do not deny your body from your spouse. You know, not saying like you can't go to sleep one night and be like, yo, I don't feel like it.
Yeah, but like ever.
Like, look, it's been 3-4 months. Like, what's wrong? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you can't do
So you said drug abuse is a part of it?
Mm-hmm.
So would, and this is just my brain going somewhere with it, if your spouse was 120 when y'all met and she go to like 500 pounds, is that part of physical abandonment? Because in theory, you have let yourself go and you have, A, you're committing the sin of gluttony. B, you are abandoned. You're also, drug abuse, I get, but there's other things that people can be addicted to that aren't necessarily drugs, like salt, sugar, that do cause you to gain excessive weight.
Right. So essentially, yes, it could go there. Like, because the physical, what we talked about in church was essentially the physical abuses, like that stuff that we're talking about, mm-hmm. It affects the family. So if I'm protecting the family behind it, then it's okay. Like, no, I wouldn't want to leave it. God forbid, and I know my wife's strong enough and she stays prayed up, but if she was to become a drug addict, I would try to help her to stop as much as I could.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't just abandon her. But in the sense where it starts to put my daughter in danger, I start to lose sleep over trying to make sure you're not doing drugs. I can't provide for the family because I'm trying to stop you from doing that. Right. It's hurting what we have going on. And I have to keep my daughter away from that because when I have my daughter, that's not what she was used to before you came in. That's not what she's going to be used to while you're here.
Right.
So,
I get that.
So you're making the best decision for your family.
That's just interesting. I was just thinking about that.
So it doesn't say you can't divorce. It just tries to. As a matter of fact, he doesn't say. It's more of a suggestive reading, scripture. It's suggestive scripture. But really and truly, you see a lot of you can't in the Old Testament do this in the Old Testament, but as you flip over to the New Testament in Jesus' time, it's more a lot of suggested stuff. Like, you have free will, so it should be suggested. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said earlier, like, a lot of the disciplines that we have, we struggle. It is a lot of the time we struggle with discipline, right? I think most people believe in God. You know what I'm saying? Jesus is another story, but I do think a lot of people believe in God. So what religion you go to depends on, well, if you believe in God, then it just depends on, I guess, which Abrahamic story you subscribe to. But
meaning whether you are subscribe to Islam or Christianity,
because they both stem from Judaism.
with the sons and the
Yeah.
out of wedlock son. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, for people who are atheists, right, like, or just don't believe in the supernatural, like, you have to be willing to sit here and say everything can be explained. And if you believe that everything can be explained, there's nothing I can do. Because essentially the Big Bang happened out of what?
Nothingness.
So you telling me something just came from nothingness?
That's what they think.
You would have to be able to prove time and time again, because science is about repetition at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So you would have to repeatedly prove that something can come from nothing. Have you seen that? Scientists continuously prove that something is coming from nothingness?
No, I haven't. I don't think I've seen it, but I've heard of something in nature called spontaneous generation, where things can come out of nothing. But it's not. I don't genuinely think it's coming out of nothing. I think it's coming out of something that we don't have the ability to detect. Therefore, it came from something, but we think it's nothing, because it would just be like if we just couldn't detect the energy in this room, and then a ghost just kind of like, if a spirit of some sort just popped up, we would think it came out of nowhere, when in reality it was there the whole time. It just made itself known. So it's one of the things I'm gonna tell you about atheism, something I believe in. So I believe you got to be one of the most arrogant people to be an atheist. I think you have to believe yourself to be one of the most incredible beings to ever live, because you're basically saying that you don't believe anything to be higher than us, which is, to me, I think that is short-sighted, and also just off chance alone, I don't think that we could be the most intelligent being. So even if your idea of this, like you said, Jesus or Muhammad or whatever you believe in religiously, there still has to be some thought process to say something could have spawned us. And if that's the case, what would you call that something? If you don't like the idea of God because of how it's been attached to other things, cool. But you still have to understand that there are forces at work that are way above our understanding. And that's where I go, if you don't believe in that, then you genuinely subscribe to coincidence and luck, then I think you have to be one of the most arrogant people and self-centered in the like ever.
And see, for me, even if you're saying coincidence and luck, that's a blessing.
Exactly.
What you call luck, we call blessings as Christians, right? And so my thing for the Big Bang is, they say, well, you're telling me you put your faith in something that is weird to put faith into, like, and it might sound crazy, right? But you telling me, somebody telling you that something happened when nobody was here, and they can explain to you that this is why something happened when nobody here, which is how we all got here. I can go back there and explain. I said, what sounds wilder? The fact that the Romans say that this guy existed. Think about it. The Germans don't even want. They want to forget the Holocaust happened.
Yeah, they're trying to take it out of books. And
but
stuff.
The Romans are sitting here saying like, yo, this man lived. What's the worst? But and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the Holocaust is not as bad as the Romans killing Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? Or Jesus being killed on the cross. I'm not saying that at all. But you're talking about the most famous person in history, whether you subscribe to Christianity or not. This is probably the most famous figure ever. I could not tell you. We could put the white Jesus anywhere, and somebody's gonna guess that you're putting Jesus up there. Little kids are probably gonna guess that you're putting Jesus up there because it's been put out there. right? So,
white Jesus is crazy.
well, you know,
no, I get what you're doing.
people
It's just
say
that
easy.
I just hate
he
when
ain't
I
woke,
hear
it's
that.
black Jesus or something. You know, like
I just be laughing because I'm just like, from a science standpoint and a biblical standpoint, he can't be white.
it can't be.
It's
You know what I'm
impossible.
saying? But I'm not about to get into all that. Like it's either way,
I get you.
will be a dark mark on their culture. They're opening and saying we made a mistake. And why would they do that when they could just be like, this
It
didn't
never
happen?
happened.
The disciples, bro. If I said Bryson is Jamaican, and everybody else said no, he's not,
Wagwami you.
and I'm going to kill you if you say he's Jamaican.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to kill you if you say he's Jamaican again. I go, like, his dad is Jamaican. Like, I can't, you're going to kill me for no reason. I can't tell you, like, bro, this is what.
Yeah, I'm going to kill you for no reason.
You're going to kill me for no reason, but you're still going to kill me.
Yeah.
And even if I say, no, he's not Jamaican, I'm lying. So now do I go back and I become a liar over something I've been following you for years now? I've been following you
scared
for
to
3
die.
years in your ministry. I follow you.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, I just say, all right, he's a phony just to save my own life.
If you're scared to die, for sure.
If you're scared to die, but they asked him to refute this several times, and they said, no, I watched him rise from the dead. Whether you have an explanation for all of those miracles or not, I saw the marks in his hand.
Yeah.
Where y'all rolled the nails. I watched him I watched him walk from the dead. I can't take that back. I can't take it back. So they end up killing them all. They all died on martyrs' death.
Knowing what I know and seeing that, I would have been like, you just got to kill me. I know there's something after this. To me, there's no.
It's got to be something. He came back.
Yeah, he came back.
He came back.
I've even heard some scientists try to prove that he never died. That it would be no different than if, like, I shot you today and left you for dead, and then you wake up days later and I put bullet holes. Yeah, I saw you get shot. I shot you 100 times. It just didn't hit the right places.
So you've heard scientists say, like, there's theories on here.
There's also they also have evidence to support that he actually, like, even if you don't believe in God, any of that, that there is a person that those stories matches up and everything makes sense with. Like, I've heard a bunch of those. I've listened to different things, and there's people that there's scientists that try to say, okay, even if he does exist, him coming back to life thing, yeah, well, he didn't technically die. They didn't have the science to see if he was clinically pronounced dead. They just assumed because he passed out. I've heard that before.
So can there be? So with the science talk, because you know that with us growing up, it was always religious versus science, and they were mutually exclusive of each other, right? Nowadays, I'm hearing different things. So could it be? Is it a possibility that there is science without religion?
Science without religion. Could you explain that a
I
little
don't
more?
think. I don't know. I don't know if I'm.
Science without.
I don't know if I'm saying it right. So I think a better way to say it is, I personally believe that we don't have our faith, like we don't have science without our faith. We couldn't have science without our. I'm butchering it right now.
Yeah, that threw me off.
It. My pastor ended up saying it too. He said science. I think the way he said it was, science and religion can coexist, but if you're a Christian, science cannot exist by itself, because you firmly believe God is the creator of all, and if He's the creator of all, then He created science too.
There are a lot of scientists that are starting to go the route of that they're one and the same. That a lot of the things that science can't prove goes into now. We just got to believe in faith in God. There are some, I forget the name, but I was listening to there's a Christian, there's a pastor who he goes to schools and he debates people, and he talks about how science plays a part into religion, and he's like, no, they're one and the same. I mean, it's no different. I mean, a lot of the things and principles that operate in science, you've heard about them in different biblical texts and different ways, but there's some people that believe the reason why it gets murky. So one thing that science and religion absolutely are on two different sides of is the mark of the beast. In nature, 666 is carbon, which is what is the underlying element to everything life. And in the Bible, the mark of the beast, obviously we know what that means. So those things contradict each other so much so that the science behind 666 doesn't make sense with religion, but it could, because you could say that if, and I may get this wrong, but if the devil is ruler over this world, then life, because it is in every element of life, it is 666. In theory, that makes sense, because the connection is, if all of life, which the devil is ruler over, if and like of this world at least, not like, but if that's the case, then the fact that the element carbon that exists in everything is the carbon, that's why I call it carbon backbone. If that's the case, then that 666 would make sense. But those two things do contradict the thing, because what I was always taught is when you see 666, that's an omen, versus when you, in science, 666 is a very beautiful thing. So that's why I get confused sometimes, because there's been, as I've been on my positivity journey, and I'm getting better and feeling like every day I'm doing amazing things and having a very good day, and stacking days like we talked about earlier, I see 666 a lot. And what I take it to mean is that the devil sees where I'm going with it, and he's trying to figure out a way to stop it. And that's why I post, like I said something the other day, I said, I see the devil always trying to come at me in different ways, and he don't attack me no more straight up. He knows it don't work. It's pointless. He attacks me in ways that makes me vulnerable, maybe a kid or a family member, like things that I don't necessarily have the ability to control, because I'm not that. So, and what I've come to understand is, regardless of how it goes, my belief and my faith, it allows me to be okay with any result that happens. I have to trust and understand that someone somewhere is fighting for me, and I don't have to necessarily fight it on my own. But that was where I was at with it, because I started seeing it a little too much. And I think it's almost like a part of me also feels, because I'm human, a part of me also feels like, I didn't see like a bunch of Grand Cherokees until I bought one. It's like once I started getting so positive and getting so into my journey, it felt like I'm noticing anything that feels like it's off a little bit, way more. My sensitivity meter is way higher. So like, because I mean, it wasn't like, and I'm talking like, and it'll be like simple stuff. Like I'll be looking at my watch in a workout, and I'll be like, I just burned 666 calories. And it's like the moment I decided to look down, what are the chances that was the time that, or this, and then right after I do that, I go, whatever. Then I go to the store and buy two things, and the price is $6.66. I'm just saying, like, all right, man, like, what?
Something else.
Yeah, but you want to know what's crazy? I don't even buy none of this no more. I let him know that there's no fear in my heart. It's genuinely me and where I'm at spiritually versus him, and I know that there's nothing he can do about that. He can try, but that's where I'm at with it mentally. So, but scientifically, some people genuinely feel like if you see 666, it's a positive. And I feel like that also could be a ploy in which the devil uses science to trick people.
So I don't know, this is my first time hearing it, so in my first response, I would say, I mean, you encounter it every day. Like, me and you smart people, you know what I'm saying? We could flip that into everyday stuff to be able to work past it. I have to take, at some point, if I'm gonna leave the house, even if I'm not gonna leave the house, I'm gonna take 666 steps. I'm not dying after that, on that 666 step. Right. I gotta make it past it. I have to take 666 breaths in order to make it to 667, or I'm gonna die. Right. So 666 is not stopping us, you know, and I think that's why in the scriptures the Lord puts in there, don't, well, you know, obviously people wrote the Bible for people who are about to take this literal, but don't worry about anything, pray about everything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when you come across those things, just pray over it. Like we call them quick prayers. I think Pastor Jonathan at our church gave a sermon on it one time. Just take a deep breath, say, Heavenly Father, your will be done. Amen. Right. And when I hear what you're saying about the carbonants and everything, my first thought is what I just said. Like you do have to experience it. And if 666 is in everything, we pretty much say like this is hell on earth. We say that sometimes.
Exactly.
And you have to find a way to move past it. So in the religious aspect or you know, metaphorical or whatever you want to call it, comparison, you can say I still gotta get past it. You know what I'm saying? It could be 666 things that make up this wall, or the elements could be in there 666 ways. I still gotta pray that wall don't fall down on my family's head.
Right.
You know, and then I think of carbon monoxide will kill you. You know what I'm saying? So it just, if anything, it's validation for me that this world is not heaven.
Exactly.
You know, and at the end of the day, none of that stuff's in heaven. You worry about no elements in heaven
at all.
You know what I'm saying? So it's an earthly thing, it's a worldly thing, and it just lets you know like God gave us this world to be stewards on. What we do with it is what we do with it, but we should be taking care of it. And if we're not, that's why we see things like the 666 within it, because it's turning bad. You know what I'm saying? So I mean that's how I can look at that. But it's always, like I say, God gives you an opportunity every day to turn something good or just change the course of something. Like you can. He gave you free will. You think God put himself through all of this like, oh my gosh, like really, I'm gonna give you more opportunity. When he really could be like, all right, do what I say. But then what kind of parent-child relationship would that be? He knew that when he designed us.
Right.
He knew that when he designed us. Do I want a bunch of me's? Or do I want them to work to be towards me so our relationship can be better?
Yeah.
And that's why I said what I said at lunch earlier today about, or maybe, I don't know, did I say this at lunch today about like your parent, like God at the end of the day, your earthly parent, God gave to you.
Yes, you did say
It's
that.
supposed to be, that parent is, even if they're doing wrong right now, if they're off the wrong path, they're an extension of God. And if you think you can just walk to them and say, I'm sorry, and you hope that they forgive you, you're doing things right to gain their approval, it gets easier with God because God loves you. The reason they can forgive you is because he put it in them, because he'll forgive you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you could do the most egregious thing in the world and it's going to be hard. You kill my mama, I got to accept the fact, if I'm a real Christian, I have to accept the fact that if you accept Jesus, and this is what a lot of people who don't rock with Christianity don't like, but if you accept Jesus, and I just let the law handle it, but you accept Jesus, let's say you got the death penalty, you accept Jesus, you try your best to expand the kingdom of Jesus, I gotta accept the fact that I'm probably gonna see you on the other side. And it's a hard thing. It is so hard. It is so hard. It's Martin Luther King and Malcolm X.
Yeah.
It's so hard for people to rock with that. But at the end of the day, that's their journey. God didn't take your mom. You can't say on one end, God gave us free will, and then say, God allowed your mom to die. Evil came from that person. The devil worked in that person. The person is now saying, I no longer want the devil to work in me. And as a Christian, you got to go, okay. And it's a tough pill to swallow, bro.
Because as a smart person, what if I said, okay, I get that. I'm going to kill him and I'm going to say sorry.
I'm going to say the same thing.
And I don't know if it works like that because I mean, if it sounds like you're trying to finesse God, but I just don't think you can finesse somebody who gave you everything. I just don't believe in that. I don't think I can trick God. So I think that if I did that, I think my intentions would be very, very, very obvious from the jump. And I would, and if I had the answer for it, I would legitimately say that was one thing that I just couldn't. I fell short there. I don't want to, like you said, if you're trying to expand the kingdom and you're trying to, you're trying to walk in faith and be the best Christian you can be. I think also on top of that, I still am going to have things I fall short at. And yeah. I think that if the devil were to penetrate certain areas, I think that that's where, not this exact example, but I do think that the devil would be keen or sly enough to figure out different things that could challenge you, and you may not pass those challenges every time.
Oh, he does every day.
Yeah, because I know I'm gonna.
People think when you say the scripture, when you say the Roman scripture that saves you, when you get baptized, they think you're good, and you are, but even Paul says, like, should we keep on sinning? It's either Paul or John, one of the two. They say, are we to keep on sinning? I think it was John. No. Is it gonna happen? People forget, like, when you sin, you miss the mark. All right? It's an old term that I learned through church and stuff, and it actually comes from archery. Mm-hmm. Sin is to miss the mark. So you telling me somebody can't miss the mark on a mistake? Now, what I do think, I have my own beliefs about it. I do think that true repentance, not just repentance to, like a lot of people talked about Jeffrey Dahmer wanting to get baptized and stuff and accept Christ. And was that real, or was he just trying to save his life before he died? And I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because he was killed. So without him getting the opportunity, there's only going to be two people who know. Him and God. A person that is truly trying and they're reformed essentially, and they've repented, I think God knows the difference.
Absolutely.
He knows the difference from somebody who's just trying to get close.
And that's why I say I don't think I can trick God. And
you're right, you couldn't, which means your road would probably be really tough. You would probably go through a lot of nights of that person who was lost, who took my mom's life, was probably, then I only keep speaking that into existence.
Right.
But they probably were really lost, and now they're found. It's the point of the prodigal son story. Do I have to hate that person in order to not let them enjoy what I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life? Their mistake was costly for me and my family. It wasn't they robbed me and I replaced the funds. You know what I'm saying? You took a piece of us. Robbing you may take a piece of the safety, but you still got time to mentally heal from that.
Right.
I got a hole in my heart from a loved one being gone. It's different. You know
very.
What I'm saying?
It's very. It's very.
So a lot of Christians face that wall when something egregious does happen to them, because it's easy to believe when it's all good. Some of your best ones, I ain't gonna say best Christians, but some of your Christians who enjoyed the Christian experience most had it rough or did egregious things before they believed. Because they already went through trials and they went through hard stuff.
Yeah. And
they can tell you how it changed their life. When you're raised in it, like my daughter is raised in it. So every day is a fight to keep the world off, rather than a fight to let me check what's new over here. Why? Like you said it to me one time when you first came to church, when you said, I gotta check what's going on because it doesn't seem to rattle his life. Like, let me at least check it out.
Right.
Remember you said that to me?
Yeah.
And so at the time I kind of understood it, but not as much as I did now, because the thing that people have to understand, you probably didn't understand it at the time, but to this day and going forward, I'm still gonna be on my faith journey. It's never ended, but at the time you might have looked at me like, yo, he kind of got it together. And that's what we look at in Christians that we deem are better than us. Like when I met my wife, I was like, yo, she's a better Christian than me.
Right.
But it wasn't until I'm actually with her every day in the house. I was like, oh no, she ain't a better Christian than me. She just been more disciplined than I am. And we get back to the point of, well, what's the point of Christianity? Well, the point is to enjoy the kingdom of God in your next life, right? And some people say, well, what if you get there and find out it's not real? And this is what people really want to know, right? And this comes back to the discipline thing, and I'm gonna bring it full circle. Do you think Mother Teresa lived a good life?
I'm not sure.
I do. I think she was very happy in her life of servitude. I feel like Billy Graham did. I feel like when you decide to follow Christ in forgiveness and love and peace and kindness, it may be a while before you see it pay you back because you lived a different life, a life of sin up until that point.
Right.
You might have done crazy stuff. You might have had sex a lot. That might have been your biggest sin. Like you had a lot of sex and you hurt people through sex, like just cheating and all this other stuff. You could have been a killer or a robber and you hurt people in those aspects. But when I start to live righteously through Christ, right, or let Christ flow through me, when I get to the end, and let's say for some reason it's not there, would I then look back at my life and be mad that I lived a good life, that I was able to pull myself from this situation, that I saw the world, I tried to see beauty in everything. I had a lot of good moments, rather than saying F this and then all of a sudden I'm getting mad all the time, I'm angry all the time, I'm fighting, doing this, I'm going through decades of turmoil and strife? Or am I okay with, maybe it was a boring life, but maybe it was good.
You're
happy with it. I was happier. So, and at the end of the day, I feel the same way about our disciplines every day. I feel like, yeah, I'm annoying my daughter right now, but if I keep her disciplined, I'll help her get to a life that she never knew she wanted or was happy about. She could go full ride scholarship. She could work in several different countries knowing all these languages. And maybe it did take 12 years of annoyances through school and being disciplined on the weekends with dad, disciplines during the summer when nobody else is working. But now, when they're struggling, trying to figure it out, I'm good. And I can accept that. And I can accept that. So that was the biggest thing when I first started my journey, like a year or two before my daughter was born. You know, and it's baby steps. Looking back now, I'm like, bro, you could have been disciplined and handled all of that stuff, but I couldn't have because I wasn't ready. I was half out, half in, and I'm way more in now than I am out. You know what I'm saying? I might be a foot, or for lack of better terms, out, but the ankle and leg and stuff is all on the other side. I'm just slowly pulling everything. Now it's about reactions to people and tone and stuff, and letting them know, like, you may hear my tone heightened, but what I'm talking to you in love. And so my next piece that I'm working on is my tone with this, so people can understand that when I talk to you, you're talking to a man of God. You know what I'm saying? Like, it may be rough, it may seem rough, but Jesus talked his crap too. Jesus talked his crap. He flipped tables. He said stuff that back in the day probably would have been the equivalent of a cuss word. You know what I'm saying? But you can't say he ain't loving you because he still gave you a chance. He sat down with the murderers, the robbers, the prostitutes, the tax collectors that were being wrong. And people looked at him funny. But when they turned around, because he stuck with them, it was all love. Because he kept showing them love. He kept being there. And sometimes you gotta talk to them rough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta talk. Some of them you gotta talk to them rough and let them know I'm not going anywhere. You can swing on me. I'm gonna grab you and hug you, whatever. I might put you in a headlock and tell you I love you right there. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am.
I think that's where my connection with Nipsey come in, because the same way you're like, yo, you know, there's tonality and stuff. but when you listen to a lot of his interviews, he absolutely had certain things that he had the ability to do that I was like, yo, I like the way his demeanor is. It's something about his spirit and his soul was like just dope. Like I was like something about him, but at the same time, he was a gang member, and I have watched him smack people in the face. I think sometimes people be afraid to have those kind of like thoughts within themselves and have those kind of conversations because they don't want to fall short and they don't want to discipline themselves. I see it all the time. I mean, even in like friend groups, and things that I've seen within just people that we hang out with or people that we've been around. Sometimes, man, they just be like, you could see where they would like to be a part of something like that, but then they ain't went through enough to figure it out. And I mean, not to say that everybody's got to go through something to get to that point, but I do see that portion more than anything. I watched a podcast that had a guy who went to jail, used to rob, steal, kill, and he was a pastor. And I don't know, you know who 607 Unc is? Mm-mm. So he's like this guy that he's pretty much like a more rugged version of Charleston White. He don't say as much outlandish stuff about like
Hispanic guy?
No, he's black.
Okay, because I saw a Hispanic one recently.
He got locks and he's from like St. Louis or something like that. He says he's a GD, Vice Lord, Crip Blood. Like he says little stupid stuff like that where he like says that he all the gangs, he all the street. But he be saying some stuff. He mentioned one time, he said, you know, this chair I'm sitting in is not solid. I just can't vibrate at the right frequency to go through. And you want to know what's funny? Scientifically, what he said was correct. I don't know if he went to school or if he's like one of them smart people who play dumb so he can like trick the people, kind of like how Lil Jon is a valedictorian and ended up making music that made him sound like a complete idiot. Mm-hmm. But what he was saying was that nothing's solid, which it isn't. It's just solid enough because of our purview. But if you look through a microscope at a certain level, you'll see that everything's a structure, and there's tiny space, like minute, super small space in between everything. Mm-hmm. So what he was saying was, if he was able to make every atom in his body move a certain way, it could go through anything. Yeah. And he was 100% correct. So he says it almost like he's like a perked up drug addict. So it's like a crackhead coming to you with some real knowledge, where if you really listen to him, it's like I get what Charleston White was saying when he said, bro, don't nobody care about that little girl that died in Texas. No one cares. He wasn't saying we shouldn't care. What he was saying was, tragedy strikes all the time. And all we do is be outraged for a week and nothing changes. Everybody forgets what happened. We go back to whatever we were doing prior to. Mm-hmm. Unless it happens to you directly, no one genuinely is in an uprising about violence, about police brutality. We're all hypocrites. And the sooner we figure that out, the better off we'll be. And if you get that, it won't bother you as much. But he don't say it like that. He say it in a way to get you to be like, oh, wait, he said what? Because that's the way you do it. So I look at all these guys and I'm like, I get the idea of a hood prophet because they went through something. Like, and that's what 607 Unc was on the podcast with that pastor who had been to prison, and he was like, bro, I found Jesus Christ in the penitentiary. And, in my head I was like, man, I've heard of a lot of guys doing that. And, like you said, we don't know their real intention, only them and God do. I see a lot of guys be gangster killers and throwing up gang signs on the outside. They go to prison now. They Muslim. And sometimes it could genuinely just be for protection. But some of those guys come out and still practice that. Lil Durk said straight up in one of his songs, he said, I want to be a killer, but it's Ramadan. Man, how long do I got to pray? Like, he was basically saying, bro, I still believe in what I'm doing, and I definitely have, I think they call it a shahada or something like that. I definitely still go and practice that faith. But if you play with me, or if you take one of mine, we coming to get you. And I got to ask forgiveness afterwards because that's just where I'm at with it. And he's still young, so the older he gets, that may change. But there's a lot of guys out there that are genuinely trying to get themselves like you said, they trying to the ankle or the foot or the ankle up, but you right now you saying it's just your foot. A lot of them guys, they just got their pinky toe on the good side, and they just trying to get up, but they want to be over there, but it's so many other things on the dark side that they just, for whatever reason in their brain, they can't get away from it.
Because you need affirmations, right? I'm on my journey, but a lot of times I don't know if I know I'm doing the right thing, praying as many times as I'm praying a day. Like, I know, in my mind I know, but I need somebody who is either older, who's been in the faith longer to say, okay, you're doing good, keep going. You know what I'm saying? Or, all right, here's another way you can handle that in a Christian way. You know what I'm saying? Because all I know is if don't nobody say anything, like we walk in the hall one morning, this older teacher, she stops me as I'm walking down, and I'm super happy in the mornings. You know what I'm saying? I'm a morning person. A lot of people hate that, right? But she stops me. She's like, I just want you to know something. Been watching you. You're a good Christian man. She was just like, you can just tell, and we need more men like you, more men that are willing to lead and not just lead in a Christian way. Iron sharpens iron, so is a friend sharpens a friend. Like, people understand, like, a lot of this stuff you read from the Bible that you get from people that you hear or stuff like that you respect, that's been in your life, it's been passed down from the Bible. Some of it hasn't, you know what I'm saying, but a lot of it has. If you just read Proverbs, you'll run through a lot. And it's just about stacking days over time. You have to practice forgiveness. You have to, you talked about mastery yesterday. What do you want to master? Right now, I want to master my tone so people know that I'm still coming at them in a loving way. I firmly believe you're going to struggle if you decide to master hope, peace, patience, love, kindness, all at once. You're going to struggle unless it was already in you. You're going to struggle. Pick one. Pick which one you think will be most impactful. If you think patience is going to give you time to love somebody better, be kind, have peace, then practice patience first. Practice patience. You know what I'm saying? So practice one thing, try your best to master it before moving on to another. And I think the journey with Christ will be great. Baby steps are still movement.
What's crazy about that is that applies in anything. I just told one of my buddies he's trying to do a business. I said, don't spread yourself too thin. Like, if you spread yourself too thin, you're not gonna have enough of yourself to give. Now, I do also believe that sometimes you just gotta either sink or swim. Like with the conversation we had earlier, you was like, yo, if I only get 4 hours of sleep, am I gonna be able to be the best dad, be my best self? Sometimes 4 hours is all you're gonna get. You gotta figure it out.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So yeah, and I didn't even say anything, but that's where I was thinking. I was like, I would love to.
But consistently, is that sustainable for me? I can have my days.
No, yeah.
Like these days where I'm at with, how much time we dedicate to the boys and how much time baby girl is garnering these days. Like, and my wife, of course. Like, there's no way I can show up like that every day.
I mean, that reminds me, the whole conversation we just had, that reminds me of you getting into that screaming match with that was it Dallas on the side? Yeah. And you was like, yo, this ain't, I was so weak, but I got where you were coming from because I felt the same way. It's just, in that moment, I'm not going to give that guy any energy because I know that's what he came out there for.
No, he didn't. What they come out there for, right, is two things. Either people to go, you're right, I'm doing wrong, or people to go, you're the reason why I don't join the church. They're not looking for another Christian to really battle them.
Oh, see, no, I wasn't saying that what he was looking for. He's just looking for engagement, period.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, because that engagement now, onlookers are watching.
Right.
And now, what the thing that you saying, the actual thing that he wants to get out of people is still going to happen, because you even engage. Now there's you and him engaging, and you stand on two sides of the coin, which might have helped him out more than hurt him, because he might have seen somebody else go, well, if the oh, he's not the only type of Christian. Actually, you know what? I like it. I like his version of it. And they may have been, and then some people would have looked at it and said, hey, I wouldn't join that. Look, y'all ain't even on the same page. And y'all believe the same thing. So it still had that same effect. And it probably had that even more so.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that now. Like, yo, they're arguing, but I look, we as Christians, like we as men, we're taxed to lead and say when something isn't right. And you condemning somebody on the side of the street, you judging somebody on the side of the street like you weren't born into sin, is 100% wrong, and I can't stand for that. I'm never going to be okay with using, because this person might really be out tonight just so they don't be alone by themselves in their thoughts, and they're battling with which way to go with it. And you're running them off. Like, think about what Marvin Sapp just did.
I think it was taken out of context.
It might have been. It might have been taken out of context, right? And I felt like it was more to it than that. But the fact of the matter is, there's a clip of you saying, and this crazy part was like,
I just heard this too earlier.
the crazy part was right after my cousin's funeral. This happened right after my cousin's funeral, pretty much, like the next week. And at the funeral, our cousin gave the eulogy, and he said, stop running the young people away from the church. The church is more crooked than the streets. Right?
He said it in the church.
Yes.
Lord.
And I said, ooh.
I know somebody like, Lord, get him off sit him down.
You know what I'm saying?
That was tough there. But let me go to the bathroom.
You good.
No, I'm talking about, that's what I was
Oh. Yeah.
I put my little finger up and walk.
So I kept looking at my dad. I said, yo, somebody get him. But he's got to bring it full circle, because if he doesn't, you're not going to get anybody coming to the altar and get saved, right? The other pastor, the actual pastor of the church, because my cousin's pastor, the other pastor of the church came behind and said, I want you to know the same things that I say. This is a journey every day. You're going to make mistakes. If you believe that he's your Heavenly Father, then he's going to forgive you because your parents do. You know what I'm saying? And that's my whole thing with it. Like, I wish even then, what was that, 2019? No, that was 2020 when we took that trip.
Yeah, it was in the middle of COVID, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was 2020.
It was 2021.
It was 2021, because in 2020 I went to Houston.
Right. So think about this. We took that, like, that was 4 years ago. It's coming up actually on 4 full years ago. I was nowhere near as versed. And me being a more mature Christian and married now, I would have handled that conversation differently. Like, it would have been, I get what you're trying to do. Don't scare people in the process. Don't condemn them out here. Just ask them to join you in church tomorrow. It's okay. It's nothing wrong with it. I'm going out right now. I may be doing wrong. I'm not going to miss church in the morning. And let them understand that mistakes happen. And God is your Heavenly Father. He's going to forgive you. You know what I'm saying? And I think instead of condemning people one after another, they might be a married couple and you can't see their rings. And you say, fornicators. Yes, I'm fornicating with my wife, you idiot. You just make us look bad. But that goes to my thing with the Marvin Sapp thing, right? Like, he might be frustrated that nobody in the church is tithing. Give a sermon about that. Let them know, because my church, you've been in my church before. We say, yo, if you just exploring stuff in this time period, feel free not to give. Feel free not to give. We want you to explore your relationship with Jesus and God and all this other stuff. Like this, we want you to explore. We want you to get involved in a church if this is what you're looking for. If you're looking to find a church home, we're looking for you to find reasons to come back and stay. You know what I'm saying? If what you're looking for was something for your kids, we want you to explore real life, max life, all of this stuff. Like, we're not looking for you to give money to us. You know what I'm saying? We're not looking. And we let you know that we have auditors in our church. We show you where the money is going with who we're supporting in the state, in the country, and internationally. I
listened to the clip in which he said, hey, lock the doors, and I want to give I got 1,000 people in the congregation and 1,000 people watching online. And if everybody give $20, that's $40,000. And hey, ushers, lock the doors. And I was like, if they handling 20,000, let's say everybody does get $20. If you got 1,000 people handling $20,000 at one time, especially on stream, a robber could see that and go, oh yeah, sweet lick, because ain't nobody in the church gonna do nothing about it. That's what they could think. So his explanation when he came out was, just so you know, for security and for the people tithing and for the people handling it, that's the most vulnerable moment for church, which is why I instructed them to lock the doors. And no, I wasn't holding people hostage, trying to get them. I've been in church where a guy ran around the church like a madman and acted like he was doing voodoo and had some kind of intuition where he was like, woo, hey, I feel $100 right here, this man right here, I got 100 coming from. And I'm just sitting there like, no, you don't. I ain't bring but $5 because that's all I can afford, whatever the case may be. But I've been in those situations, I've seen that, and I've seen them lock doors before. It ain't got nothing to do with being held hostage. So my thought was context, but we also, and on top of that, even more than that, there's a million bajillion things that people are doing to scam you. Athletes with fake charities, activists with Black Lives Matter and things like that, and they scamming right in your face, and they ain't doing it in the name of nobody but themselves. And you so mad at this guy because you probably heard that one saying where somebody said more people died because of the church than in all the wars, which could be true. But you're literally just listening to something that was sensationalized and you're having an opinion based on that. And that's what I didn't like about that clip, because a lot of the reactions I saw, I'm like, wait, so what he's doing is very normal. This isn't some abnormal thing that I've never seen about. No, I've been in a church where they've done this before. And that's what threw me off. I just think
it's bad, bro.
It is, but at the same time, it ain't abnormal what he was doing.
So
in my experience.
So my question is, what if you put people in a panic and they turn up and they rush the ushers and somebody gets hurt?
Why would they be in a panic?
You're not locking me in here.
Oh, you're saying just the idea of that?
The idea of being locked in somewhere and I'll bum rush an usher just to get out the door. I don't want your money or nothing like that, but you're not going to tell me I have to stay in here and then lock the door on me and keep me in here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Now you're responsible for that safety because you said ushers lock the doors and they listen. Now I'm assuming, I'm giving everybody the benefit of the doubt and being like, your church members. I don't know how big the church is.
It's 1,000 people. It's got to be a huge church. There was 1,000 people in the congregation alone.
So when I look at that, I'm like, as a teacher myself, I don't want to do anything that's going to put a kid in panic and give them reason not to trust me anymore. Anything, right? Because I've had situations with students where I felt like it was me or them forgetting the other kids in the room, and it hurt our relationship, right? So I don't want to put anybody that I've been tasked to be a steward over, a shepherd over, and hurt the relationship with somebody else. And I felt like as soon as that clip went out, I was like, dang. Because it's a hit for Christianity at the end of the day. It doesn't, at the end of the day, the clip gets out, he has time to go back. Everybody's going to say, whether he was genuine in his response or not, everybody's going to say he had time to go back and think about what he wanted to say that would make it make sense, that other people might have been through before that he could say. When really it's probably because a lot of people forgetting what he said in there because of the lock the doors comment. He said, it costs to be up here. It costs to be up here. Not necessarily paying your pastor, but how do you think we're going to keep the lights on and keep us coming back here? How do you think we're going to pay for us to be Met Kids? How do you think we're going to pay for Met Kids, the child watch? How do you think we're going to do that? If ain't nobody giving any money, like you guys just showing up and listen, we could just do it online and just forget the building from now on. But then we wouldn't congregate nowhere. I mean, the church is not a building. The church is a gathering of people. So we can gather online and the church still get done what it needs to be done. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't have the same effect if we never in person. We're never in community around each other like that. Like, we have to be in community with each other physically at some point. At some point.
I get
what's
that.
the easiest way? The building. So now the thing that's supposed to keep us the safest, you take 30 seconds and somebody in that audience was just visiting that day and felt unsafe. Everybody wasn't returners. Somebody was a visitor that day and felt unsafe. And they took away from it that, think about it, I just invited y'all to Easter. I'm going to invite TJ and Issa also. Erison's going to invite a friend. And let's say they get in there, they do their children's program, they do everything, and then you hear him go, hey, lock the doors. Everybody in here need to give $20. Listen.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
And what you got me on?
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
Come on, bro. Really? That's what we own?
From that perspective. But a couple people was like, bro, you're so naturally good in front of the camera. I was like, bro, why is it so? I was like, I don't like to talk, right? I had to force myself to learn how to do it. And now I can do it with people I love. I don't speak to strangers at all. I was like, if you bring a stranger around me, if I ain't got some look in my system, I'm going to fall to the backside. And people going to be like, what's wrong with him? He don't know you. He don't want to talk. I've always been like that. My son, he don't talk. He will. He knows how. If you get him going, just like if you can get me going, I can speak with you. I can speak with the best of them. I'm not trying to, though. I get tired. I don't get energy out of that. Dog.
Somebody get you going.
Come on, dog. That's a reach. That's a reach. Yo, comment below. Is that a reach, bro? Come on. Somebody get you going. It's not that. Bro, didn't you say something about Didn't you say something about somebody's backside earlier?
Nah.
Bro, this is a recording. We
were talking about the play.
And what you said?
I said he can't see his own backside.
Nah, that
so you can't see your own backside because you're playing defense because the ball is over here. That's your fault. You should be dropping the help so you can see everything.
But if I spin that, why would a grown man be trying to look at his backside? Like what you trying to see if you back dance?
Spinning stuff.
What you mean? You ain't never spin a basketball in your hand?
Hey, brother.
I hear about street dudes spinning the block when none of their ops catch them. So what we saying? Look. It's different ways to spin. I've been spinning until I'm dizzy. That's real. That's real.
Till you dizzy?
I'm telling you what it is.
So 2 Chainz look back at it. That's you. You spinning too.
And I think lastly, the thing that I do want to touch on is how'd you like the drink?
Oh, it was good.
It's good. Once I get the smoke, I think I got to get one of them little torches.
Hey, brother, I'm gonna tell you this though. Don't ever look at me like that again and go, how'd you like the drink?
What you mean? Yo, you getting sleepy, dog. Like,
how'd you like the drink?
Yo.
What? You like, come on,
bro.
Like, it's not. I get it. You're a ladies, man. I'm not a lady, bro. You like, hey, bro, was the drink good? You know what I'm saying? Hey, how'd you like your drink? And I feel like you licked your lips, like you know, you look like the guy from Soul Food. I keep telling you about. What's his name? Mel or something like that.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I get some new like.
Hey, how's Coca-Cola?
Hey, man,
Cola.
Hey man, remember you said you're working on tone? That's what I'm doing. I'm working on my tone. Yo, how you like that?
What is that?
That's it. Oh. That's just how I talk, dog. Like,
that's kind of spicy, bro.
Nothing. Listen, man. Hey, man. But definitely had Coach Parks. Appreciate you coming through, my brother.
Hope you like it. Hope you like it.
Yeah.
I hope you like it.
Yeah, but it's your boy Royalty. I'm signing out. Hope you like it. Peace.